I hope I'm clearly visible and audible. Yeah, just checking. All right, fine. I'll share the slides. So, today we will be discussing about direction and distance. So, distance is sort of covered in the direction part. The direction part will ask you, like, there will be some character or some person. He will be moving around space, I can say, or a city, I can say, and we just have to track down his all his movements and eventually tell what's the distance. So, without any further delay, let's get started. All right. Mm. All right. So just a basic knowledge. I already hope everyone knows what are the four major directions: north, east, west, and south. So in your maps, if you have studied geography in your grade 8, 9, 10, there's always this symbol which represents the directions on the map. So you can remember this symbol. You can quickly draw it on your rough sheet whenever you appear for the exam, and then you can take it as a reference for, or even if you don't need it, it's fine. It's just simple directions which you will need. Uh, there may be questions which are related to four more directions. So between north and east, we have northeast. Between south and east, we have southeast, southwest, and northwest. All right, so these will be four very crucial direction as well. And one more thing which I would like to tell is one should also know which is left side on each direction. So let's say, assuming you are facing east, so your left will be to this side and your right will be this side. For south, your right will be this side, your left will be this side. Here your left will be this and right will be this. Now, you don't really have to remember कि कौन सी direction कहाँ आती है. You can just simply assume you are sitting facing towards east, and then you can approximately say, or I accurately say which direction is what. One more quick concept, clockwise and anti-clockwise. So clockwise direction is this, from north to south, uh, through east, north, east, south, and anti or counterclockwise is this. All right. There will be few questions which we will be solving today. They will be talking about that a person rotates 90-degree clockwise or 180-degree counterclockwise or anti-clockwise. So you should know these basics. Also, I'll tell what's the significance of those values. So if you take a 90-degree clockwise turn, when you are facing north, you will be facing east. Similarly, a 90-degree from east to south, east to south, south to west, and west to north. All right. If there is something which is something like a 45-degree change. So let's say you were facing north at first. I'll do it here. You were facing north, and then you decided to move 45 degrees anti-clockwise. So you would move 45 degrees this way. Please mind my handwriting. Yeah. So now you will be facing northwest direction. So as we solve question, this concept will get even more clear. The key concept here is the distance part. So let's say I begin with some place. Let's say it's my home. I travel some distance north, some distance east, then north, then east, and eventually I end up here somewhere. All right. Now at my coaching. Now I need to find what is the distance that I have traveled. So the shortest distance, whenever they ask you for the question, in the question for initial position and the final position, they are asking you for the diagonal distance. So I hope you all have learned your Pythagoras theorem in some standard or maybe even here in quant. So if I travel, let's say x distance here and y distance upwards, then the distance traveled would be square root of x square plus y square. So similarly, in this case, you can draw a right angle triangle in this way. Here, the x distance or x coordinate can be found out by adding these two values, and y coordinate can be found out by adding these two values. So we will be solving a lot of questions on distance today. Eventually, the question will have two endings. They will ask you for the direction and they will ask for distance. So these are only two major uh, sort of questions they can ask. There's almost little to no theory in this part, and I feel direction is a very scoring part. So if you get two to three questions from direction, you must score or you must get the correct answer in this question. So let's solve some question. Okay, a person travels a distance of 7 kilometers towards east from his house. Then he travels 7 kilometers towards north, then a distance of 7 kilometers towards east, and finally 7 kilometers towards north. What is the vertical distance? All right, let's say this person, it started from here. He traveled for 7 kilometers here, then 7 kilometers northwards, again 7 kilometers eastwards. Please don't mind my lines. All right, those are very not straight lines. And 7 kilometers again towards north. So now the question asks me, what is the vertical distance? The vertical distance is nothing but addition of these two. So let's say he started at this point and he ended up at this point. So the vertical distance would be nothing but this distance. So you simply add uh, all the distance he covered in the north direction. So that is he covered 7 kilometer and another 7 kilometers. So total he covered 14 kilometer vertical distance. All right. If the question had asked you for horizontal distance, how would you have find? The answer would be same in this question. Here you have to find the distance he traveled in the east part. So here it is 14 kilometers. All right. I'll quickly repeat. The question gave me few direction. It was 7 kilometers to east, then north, east, and again north. And finally, it asked me for the vertical distance. For vertical distance, you always add your north and south. I'll write it somewhere. For vertical, you do north, south direction. And for your horizontal distance, you do east, west. All right. I hope you have understood the concept and the question. Let's move to next question. A person starts from his house and travels 8 meters towards west. So let's say this person's house is here. I'll denote it by H. Uh, Sorry, let's keep him here so that it's free to travel everywhere. Uh, the person travels 8 meters towards west. Then he takes a left turn. Now, which will be his left? This will be his left. This will be his right. He takes a left turn and travels 6 meters. Alright, so this 6 meters towards south. Now he does 8 meters towards west. So again this way, 8 meters. Then 4 meters towards south and finally takes a right turn. Now here, what will be his right direction? This is his right, this is his left. I'll draw it from here again. So this was his house. He traveled 8, then 6, then 8, then 4, sorry, 4, and finally he traveled 5 kilometers after a right turn. So the right turn would be this way. All right. Now the question asks for the horizontal distance traveled by him. So it is simple. You just add this 5, 8, and 8. So if I denote it with a triangle, let's say this triangle, maybe something like this. I'll draw a separate diagram. Let's say his house was here, travel this way. So this will be somewhat his direction, and this will be my right angle triangle. So the horizontal distance is nothing but addition of these three values. So it will be what? 8 plus 5, 13 plus 8 will give me 21 as my correct answer. Alright, so the distance he traveled was 21 meters. The horizontal distance. In this case, the vertical distance was nothing but 10 meters. Okay, I hope horizontal distance and vertical distance is clear to you. Let's move to next question. Surya travels 3 meters towards east, then turns right, travels 4 meters. What is the distance between initial and final position? Okay, so we did a question on vertical, then we did a question on horizontal. Now they are asking for we can call it a diagonal distance or distance between initial and final. So let's say Surya was here at first. He traveled 3 meters east and then took a right. So which will be right? This will be left. This will be right. So he took a right and traveled 4. So the distance between his final and initial would be represented by this line. I told you the formula, or you can simply apply Pythagoras theorem here. So it will be square root of 3 square plus 4 square, which is nothing but your 9 plus 16 square root of 25. Now we won't take minus 5 here since distance is always positive. You can't travel minus 5 kilometers or minus 5 meters. So correct answer would be 5 meter in this case. All right, fairly easy question. If you know the formula, square root of x square plus y square, you can directly get the answer. Easy marks. One more tip which I would like to give here is you do remember Pythagorean triplet. Now, what is a Pythagorean triplet? It simply means uh, whenever you form a right angle triangle, if these are three values, then it is a right angle triangle. Or if you know two of them, you can easily find the third one. Or in a better way, you can just remember the values. So let's say one side of a triangle is 3, another side is 4. So let's say he traveled 3 kilometers horizontally, 4 kilometers vertically. So distance between initial and final will always be 5. Uh, there's one more triplet. Simply multiply this above triplet by 2. You can get 6, 8, and 10. All right. So you can take a note of these as we solve various questions. You don't really have to remember it, but if you do, you can be more fast at solving sums. All right, I hope this question was clear on finding initial and final position distance. Let's move ahead. Starting from his house, Sachin walks a distance of 8 kilometers, 8 meters towards north. So let's say Sachin's house is here. He starts 8 meters towards north. Then he takes a left turn. So left here would be this side. He walks 6 meters. Then 3 meters towards south. Okay. And finally 6 meters towards west to reach his office. So this is his office. Now they are asking you what is the distance between his house and office, and also find in which direction is his office situated with respect to his house. So this is his house, this is his office, and that's the house. So what's the horizontal distance? This is his house and his office is somewhere here. So the horizontal distance covered here is 6 plus 6, 12. And the vertical, he first moved 8 ahead and then come back 3. This will be 5. If you see, this was 8 and this was 3. So this must be 5. I am not drawing to scale, that's why it's not looking very appropriate, but a rough figure will uh, always help in your direction question. So whenever you solve a question, do not think, I don't think it's even possible to do it in the brain. Always draw lines, always do some scribbling, you will get the answer. All right, now I have to find this distance. First, we can answer this question. In which direction is his office with respect to his house? So draw simply arrow, and it is in this direction. So this is nothing but northwest. All right, please pay attention when they ask you with respect to. All right, sometimes if the question would have been what in which direction is his house with respect to his office, then we would have our origin point here, and then his house would be in southeast direction. All right, so please pay attention to the reference point, otherwise you will get it absolutely wrong. Now let's find the distance. So I have a right angle triangle. One side is 12, one side is 5. So I know the answer is 13. I'll solve it for you once. So this is square root of 5 square plus 12 square. This is nothing but 25 plus 144 square root. So this is 169 square, which is nothing but 30. Alright, so you can remember mm, another triplet, which is 5, 12, 30. Alright, you can uh, note this one so that you remember triplet. So the correct answer, the distance between his house and office is 13 meter, and the direction is northwest. Okay, let's move ahead. Starting from her house, Nisha traveled 8 kilometers towards west, then turned right. Okay, I'll draw. Let's say Nisha's house is somewhere here. She traveled 8 meters towards west, then turned right. So this will be her right. This will be her left. Yeah. She turned right and traveled 15. Then traveled towards east. So she went another way now. So this total is 20. And then followed by 20 meters towards south to reach her hostel. All right, so this will also exceed 15. So here is her hostel. So now they are asking how far is her house and in which direction. So direction is pretty easy. If you take your house as a reference point, the hostel is to the southeast direction. For distance, we can draw a triangle like this. So this distance would be 5 and not 5. This will be travel 20 towards east. So net effect. Okay, I think there was some network issue. Yeah, I hope I'm visible now. Okay, so I was saying that first she traveled 15 towards north and then 20 towards south. So the net effect is 5 meters towards south. So this is again that same triplet 5, 12, 13. So the distance between her house and hostel is 13 meter and direction is southeast. Alright, let's move ahead. Okay, this one only asks you for the direction. My office is to the east of my house. So let's say the house is here. So my office would be somewhere here. My sister's office is to the southeast of my office. So the sister's office would be somewhere here. And a park is to the south of my office. So there's park. So the question asks me in which direction is my house located with respect to park. So if this is my reference point, I am pointing towards northwest direction. So the correct answer is option B. Fairly easy question. Uh, if you just draw the diagram, you can easily answer it. Moving ahead, my dog Bunty runs 30 meters towards west. Let's say Bunty was here, 30 meters towards west. then turns then turns left and runs 10 meters. So which would be the left direction? This one, 10 meters. Then turns right. So here the right direction would be this, and runs 5 meters. Then takes a left turn. So left turn would be this way, 2 meters, and again takes a right. Right would be this way, and 12 meters. Finally, he takes a left turn and again travels 7. So I'll start from here since I don't have space there. So first towards west, then left and 10, then the right and 5, left and 2, again right and 12, and finally a left. Left would be this side, 7. Alright, he started with 30 meters towards west, then 10 meters after a right turn, so 10 meters towards south. Uh, sorry, after a left turn. He took a left turn towards south 10 meters, then took a right towards west direction 5 meters, then 2 meters after taking a left, that means towards south, then right and 12, and left and 7. So now they are asking in which direction is it running now. So it's running towards south. So the correct answer is option D. Okay. You just have to trace down the points as you go through it, and you can very easily answer this question. All right. The only catch here is the left right thing. Since there are so many, you have to change between 4 different directions or maybe 8 different direction at some point. There's a high chance you can only go right or left. If you take one wrong turn, your whole answer may get wrong. All right, let's move ahead. Sachin travels 16 kilometers towards west. Okay, let's say Sachin was here. 16 kilometers towards west, then travels 8 kilometers towards east. So now he comes back the same way. And then finally goes 4 kilometers towards north. Right. The question asks me in which direction is he with respect to starting point. So take this as your reference point. This is his final direction. So this is nothing but northwest direction, option A. Fairly easy question. Let's move to next question. Okay, this one is the question I was talking about. Fani, who is traveling north, who is facing north, turns 90-degree clockwise. So let's say this is Fani standing here at the reference point or the origin point. She is right now facing north and she takes a 90-degree clockwise. So something like this. And now she is facing towards east. Then the question tells me she took 135-degree anti-clockwise. So 135 would be what? 90 plus 35. So she took a 90 and then 45 we can see. So now she is facing towards this direction. Which direction is she facing? Option B, northwest. Now this was fairly easy question since she was not moving. Had she been moving somewhere, then I think it would have been a little more complex, but not very much. I believe you all can very easily solve it. Okay. I'll also tell you some values which you can remember to solve these questions easily. So all multiples of 90. All right. Let's say you are facing north at the beginning. So 90-degree clockwise would give you east. So let me clockwise east. Then a 180 would give you south, then west, and then again north. Had it been anti-clockwise, you would get west, south, east, and again north. I'll write here. Suppose the direction, these are the degrees. Suppose the degrees were 45, 135, 225, and what else? 3:45, I guess. Not 3:15. Yeah. So let's say I was facing north initially, and clockwise, if I move a 45-degree towards clockwise would give me northeast. So now this is, I'm moving first 45 and then 90, I can say. So this will be southeast, southwest, and and northwest. Yeah. Had it been anti-clockwise. So first 45 would give you northwest, uh, southwest, southeast, and northeast. All right. Uh, Probably the value which you will be seeing in your question will be out of these eight only. 90, 180, 270, 360, 45, 135, 225, 315. These are the only eight which are frequently asked. They may make something more, but usually these eight are only asked. So you can take a note of it if you want to remember it or some way. I would suggest you take a note, but you always solve it in exam by your reasoning. I mean, that's what they are testing you for. Uh, Again, it's eight terms and two different ways of moving. It's little hard to remember. So when you get a question, just draw a reference diagram and solve it accordingly. All right, let's move to next question. Dinesh traveled 60 meters towards south. So let's say Dinesh was here when he started. He moved 60 meters towards south. Now he turns right. So right would be this way. And he travels 45 meters. Then he came 30 meters towards south. He took a 45-degree clockwise direction. So 45-degree clockwise would be this way. If you draw a reference point, it is this way. So this is nothing but northeast. Option C. All right. Easy question. Here he had been moving a little bit, and then there was a 45-degree turn. It could have been uh, more complex. Let me add some steps like after turning 45, he moves some distance, let's say 10 meters, and then he takes a 90-degree turn counterclockwise and a 45-degree again clockwise. So there can be a little permutation and combination of these values. But if you track the person accurately, there's no way you are getting these questions wrong. All right. So the only key or the only step where you can go wrong is tracing the map or tracing that person's movement. If you do it, if you give it some time, do it with full attention. Don't, start a question, then look somewhere else and again go back to question. You will lose the link. Keep very focused and high attention when you are solving this question. All right. Moving ahead. Okay, this is a very interesting question. After traveling 8 kilometers, I turned right and then traveled 3 kilometers. Then turned right and covered a distance of 2 kilometers. Now I am moving towards west. In which direction did I start my journey? So all the questions till now we had been given where we are facing in the beginning, and then we trace him down. Now here we have to do something like a reverse process. They are telling ki I am facing west, right? And I have covered 2 kilometers before Okay, I think there was my internet is really acting up today, I guess. Okay, we were tracing back the location. Yeah. So what we had done till now, we he moved 2 kilometers towards west and then this way, and this was 3 kilometers. Now they are asking, uh, I traveled 8 kilometers and then I took a right turn. So for me to take a right turn and move southwards, this would have been this way. Right? So this was 8 kilometers. So the question asked me, in which direction did I start my journey? So it was towards east. All right. I'll quickly repeat it again. Uh, I'll start from the end. I am moving towards west, so I'm facing this direction. I have covered 2 kilometer, and before 2 kilometer, I took a right turn. So if you have to do it reverse way, suppose you are facing east and you take a left turn. So you would go this way, and then he took a right turn and traveled 3 kilometers. So you can reverse it and say he took a left turn and traveled 3 kilometers. Sorry, not three. This is two, and this is eight. So the correct or the chronological flow would be he was here, then he moved this way, and finally this way. So correct answer in this case would be option D, west. I think I did some other option. If it was some other option, kindly excuse me. The correct answer is option D, west. You could have also done this question using you can go option. The correct answer would be east. I'm extremely sorry. Yeah. So another way which you could have done is you can have taken option wise. So let's say I take option A, north. So I'm starting my journey towards north. I travel 8 kilometers, then I take a right turn and travel 3 kilometers, and then I turn right again and travel 2 kilometers. Now I am facing south, but the question says I am facing west. So this is a wrong option. This is a fairly easier way, but it is more time consuming. The one which I told earlier was little complex, but easy to understand. Uh, it was time saving. It was complex, but time saving. Okay, let's solve next question. Madhav travels 14 kilometers towards east from his house. Okay, let's say Madhav was here. He travels 14 kilometers towards east. Then he turns left, so his left kilometers. Madhav started from here. He took 15 and then 19 this way. He again turns left. So now the left would be this side, which would be his left this way. And he travels 10 kilometers. He finally walks 9 kilometers towards north and then stops. So it will go into the question, but I hope it is visible. He travels 9 kilometers towards north. Now, at what vertical distance is he from his house? So we just have to find the vertical distance. It is nothing but 9 plus 19, which is 28. So correct answer is option D. Fairly easy question. Suppose if they had asked what is the distance between final and initial. So Madhav started from here, let's say his vertical distance is 28. What's his horizontal distance? 14 minus 10, because he first moved 14 towards east and then came back 10 kilometers. So this would be 4. So the final would be, the distance between final and initial would be 28 square plus 4 square, and you take a square root of it. Alright. Okay. Let's move to next question. A person walks 4 kilometers towards west. So let's say the person was standing here. He travels 4 kilometers towards west. Then he takes a right turn. So here the right turn would be towards north, and again walks 9 kilometers. Then he turns towards east and travels 12. He finally travels 3 kilometers towards south. So how far is he from the initial? So this is, I, I can say this is the line that represents his final and initial position. I can draw a triangle like this. What's his horizontal distance? He first traveled 4 towards west and then 12 towards east. So net is 8 towards east and 9 kilometers northwards and then 3 kilometers southwards. So vertical distance is 6. So if you remember, I told you a Pythagorean triplet at the beginning of class, which was 6, 8, 10. So here one direction is 6, another is 8. So the final would be 10. The diagonal would be 10. So correct answer is option D. Alright. I hope the answer is clear. Okay, moving ahead. A boy starts from his school. Okay, let's say the school is somewhere here. And 2 kilometers southwards, he goes 2 kilometers southwards. I think I'll put it here. 2 kilometers southwards, then 4 kilometers towards east, then a distance of 3 to his right. So his right in this way would be this direction, 3 kilometers. Then again a right turn this way, 4 kilometers. Then he turned right and traveled 4 kilometers and 2 kilometers at first and second turn respectively. So he took two consecutive right turns. At first he traveled 4 and then again took a right turn and traveled 2. So now they're asking how far is he from his school and in which direction. So if you see, this is his final position and this was his school. So from his school, so the reference point here is the school and the direction is south east. Now you have to find the distance. What's if I draw a triangle representing his school and final? So the horizontal distance is covered was 8, and the vertical distance he covered is how much? 7. Wait, I think I made some mistake. He traveled 2 kilometers southwards, then took a right turn 4 kilometers towards east, then 3 to his right, then okay, here the problem is here. Here I took a left turn. So I'll, I'll I'll have to change. At this point, he took a right turn, so he moved this way. So it is 4, and then he again took a right turn and traveled 2. I'll redraw the diagram. Okay, so let's say his school was here. He took 2 kilometers south, then 4 kilometers east, then took a right turn and 3, again a right turn and 4, and again a right turn and 2. All right. Yeah. So, in which direction is he right now? this 4 towards east and 4 towards west have nullified each other, so he should be at exactly south. And wait, did I make some mistake again? Oh, I missed this last. He finally traveled 4 kilometers towards east. He traveled 4 kilometers towards east. So now, if this is his school, he's towards the southeast. Yeah, it's southeast direction. So either option A or option D. And to find direction, I can represent a triangle this way. The horizontal distance is 4. So he first went 4 towards east, then 4 towards west, and again 4 towards east. So net is 4 towards east. And his vertical distance is 2 plus 3 minus 2. So this will be how much? 3. Yeah. So we know the triplet, it's 5, 4, 3 or 3, 4, 5 towards southeast. Option A is the correct answer. All right. I think this is the most complex question they can ask you in CUET for direction senses. They will just, the only way to make these sums complex is just keep on adding steps. Like first he moved left, then right, then east, then west, then right, east. The more number of steps he took, the more complex the question gets. There's nothing else to make this question complex. All right. I hope the question is clear to you. Okay, let's move ahead. Praveen travels 12 kilometers towards east. So let's say Praveen was here and he travels 12 kilometers towards east and then 8 kilometers towards north and finally 6 kilometers towards west. How far is he from the starting point and in which direction? All right, I'll give you a moment to solve this question. Take a time. I'll give you, I guess, 30 seconds to think about it and tell me the correct answer, or maybe write it in comments. Fairly easy question. All right, if you need more time, you can pause the video if you are not watching it live right now. Okay, the easier part first. In which direction is he from the starting point? So he is in northeast direction, so it should be either option A or option D. And for the distance, I can draw a right angle triangle this way. So he traveled 8 kilometers in vertical, and for horizontal direction, the net effect is 6. So you remember the triplet 6, 8, and 10. So the correct answer would be 10 kilometers. The distance between the starting point and the final point is 10 kilometers, and the direction is northeast. So correct answer is option A. All right, fairly easy question. All right, let's move to next question. This is probably the last question for the day. Yes. How much time have we left? Yeah, we have 15 more minutes. Saroj travels 3 kilometers eastwards and then turns left and travels 6 kilometers. He then turns right and travels 2 kilometers. Well, it's just, I'll rather trace it down than reading. So let's say Saroj was starting at this point. Uh, she traveled 3 kilometers towards east, then took a left turn. So left would be this way. So she took a left turn and traveled 6 and turns right and travels 2 kilometers. So right would be this way, 2 kilometers. Then 3 kilometers towards north and 5 kilometers westwards. Okay, I'll redraw it here so that it's more clear. 3 towards east, then a left turn and 6, then 2 towards right, then northward 3, and finally 5 kilometers here. So if you see the horizontal direction which he covered was 3, 2, and then 5. So it has nullified each other. So he is to the exact north. So they are asking how far is he from the starting point. So the only distance here is the vertical distance. So if you add 6 and 3, you will get 9 kilometers, and he is towards west north direction. So the correct answer is option D. All right. I hope you are clear with the question. It was fairly easy question, I believe. Okay. So if you have any doubts, now is the time to ask. I'll quickly revise what we learned, the theory part, and what kind of application questions can be there in your exam. So first we saw it directions, then left and right. You need to remember these, or you need to keep these in your mind when you solve this question. So the left and right, I believe, is the most trickiest part where you can go wrong. And then we saw clockwise or anti-clockwise rotation. Okay, these were the some theory part I can say. And for application, the first one is fairly easy. Uh, Horizontal or vertical direction. Distance between initial and final point. Then direction. Direct question like in which direction is he moving, or what's his direction with the given reference point. And what else? Maybe clockwise rotation. Rotation like if he rotates this direction, which I think that it's covered in direction. And one interesting question which we did was tracing back from reverse. So we can say a reverse. I don't think they will ask in exam, but it's always better to know the theory. It's I don't think they'll ask, but again, you can't ignore it. I'll recommend you solve one or two more questions from reverse type of questions so that you get better at it. Other than that, uh, most of your questions will be coming from point 2 and point 3. So they will ask you initial and final point distance and direction. The only thing which you need to keep in mind is the left and right. If they give you north, east, west, south, so if there is something like he moves 9 kilometers eastwards and 10 kilometers southwards, then it's very easy question. The only way they can catch you is left and right. So practice some more questions at your home on this part, and I think that's it for the directions part. All right, if you have any doubts, I'm here for 2 more minutes. You can drop your questions in the comment section and we will get back to you. All right, that's it from my side. Thank you very much, guys.